you know, minerals that are in it or anything. It should just be as pure as water can get. And since I didn't have a chance to go get to the healing spring, you know, I brought some water before to get good water. And we're going to talk about, you know, what's in it and pollution and stuff and other things. But what I'm going to do while we're here is I have the gallon jug. And you notice I wrote some words on it. They didn't come out real good, but the water can see the words.
Yeah.
So, and I wrote it backwards so the water can
read the words.
Can read it. And the words that are on here are love, joy, gratitude, and vibrant good health. So what I'm going to do is while we're doing the talk, the water's going to be over here listening. This is like meditation music. I meant to bring Mozart music, but it didn't really matter. This is meditation music, and and it's only important that the water hears it right now. The water's listening to the music, and we'll find out what that's all about. So
cool.
And y'all can gonna be able to drink some if you want, but we'll talk about why that is. And I have a couple extra books here if you want to look through. And what I have is first, just briefly to talk about what you might think when people talk about water, you know, the pollution or what we do with it, how much is there, we're going to run out. So just some facts to talk about that. But the main thing that I want to talk about with water is from this book, which is called The Hidden Messages in Water. And so you may or may not have heard some of these things before, but this is so interesting to me ever since I heard about this some years back. But anyway, we'll get to that part, but I'll just go kind of quickly through some of this. And if you all have anything to add or have heard things about any of the comments, please throw it in, okay? Now this, I got an article from Reader's Digest, so that's where this first information is from. We, in the United States, we have the safest drinking water in the world, which you'll find out isn't really saying too much, but you think, you know, ours can be bad, but it's better than just about everybody else's, so, you know, we have to think about that. So they start out saying we have the safest drinking water in the world, except for the pesticides that are in it, the rocket fuel. I don't know, I'm kind of confused on where so much rocket fuel comes from to get in the water, but I think it's in certain areas where they manufacture it or do something. So, and there's a lot of antibiotics in the water. There's actually, they've counted up about 60,000 different chemicals that are in, or you know, can be in any of the water in the United States. The EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, enforces the limits on certain chemicals in water. You know, it can only be so many, like 3 parts per million or whatever, depending on what the chemical is. Do you know how, can you guess, out of the 60,000 chemicals that can be in our water, how many do you think the EPA regulates? Just guess. There's 60,000 chemicals, how many do you think the EPA watches?
Probably 1 or 2.
Less than 100.
Yeah.
Less than 100 out of 60,000 things that can get in the water. So that's kind of scary. You know?
Yeah.
One thing that can put a lot of toxins in the water is fracking. And I know we've heard a lot about that in the news with we need oil, we need gas, and that kind of thing. Fracking produces toxic chemicals, and it releases methane gas, which also, now methane could be trapped and used for something else, but how they manufacture, you know, it's all based on money, so we don't know. The best thing to drink, as a general rule, like all day long, is just plain water. You know, people drink, and there's people argue about it. Oh, well, I drink iced tea, but that's still liquid, or, you know, this and that and the other. But according to the information I found, and I do this because I drink water all day, plain water is the best because that's the best thing. It helps to reduce your chance of getting blood clots, especially if you drink at night. If you don't drink enough, you know, through the night, your blood can get thicker. You know, if you have problems with that, it's the best thing for preventing heart disease, kidney stones, cancer, particularly cancer of the bladder, mental fuzziness. You know, if you drink a lot of sodas all day long, and I know people who, like, all day they have a Pepsi in their hand, you know, then they're kind of duh. And it can help even cranky, fatigue, and gaining weight. But anyway, water, just plain water is the best thing to drink. And there's all kinds of degrees of water that we're going to find out about. So remember plain water and what that might mean. Bottled water is not particularly regulated by the government. You know, it can, and it's very misleading the way they label the bottles. You have to be really careful because, you know, they just put it a certain way to kind of trick people. It's something like, I had the percent of bottled water that is actually just from tap water from somewhere. You know, it's city tap water, and but they have some kind of special name, and they jazz it up in a pretty, you know, bottle or whatever, so they kind of fake people out. One of the chemicals that's really bad that gets in a lot of places in water is called perchlorate. It's a solvent, and it comes from, I think, the rocket fuel and some of that other stuff. Really, really bad. If you live in a large city, the water tends to be better than if you live in a small town, because in small towns they're more likely to have agricultural runoff, and also septic tanks are more common in rural areas, and that sometimes those things can tend to leach into the water system. So, oh, here it is. 25 to 45% of bottled water is just tap water from some city pump. They call it like oxygenated water and structured water and diet aids, and they have all these kind of labels on the thing, but it, you know, it's just a selling gimmick for the most part. Okay, so here's 6 reasons why bottled water is all wet. It's intellectually bewildering. They have one type of water I found called H2O, and it's called holy water. You know, holy drinking water, H2O. You know, I mean, they just do anything. They'll say it's caloric. Oh, bottled water a lot of times is calorically enhanced. You know, they'll put other things in it to make, you know, flavors and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's got chemicals or calories in it, and it can be confusing when you read the labels. Of course, it's more expensive, and it's ecologically challenging because all those bottles, they say we throw away, like, I just saw it on TV last Sunday, like 3 million bottles an hour or something. I mean, it's just crazy in the United States alone. So all that plastic is just out there, and I recycle mine. I even take my trash home so I can put it in recycle. I did have some things out of here. I don't know if it was, let me just see what it was. I wrote down page 110. Some of the states that use the most bottled water. Which one do you think is the top of the list?
Florida.
California. You know, all the yeah. In fact, Florida's not on the top 10. California, Texas, New York. Oh yeah, there's Florida. Sorry, it's number 4. Arizona. And it says some cities are trying to ban bottled water. There were some other things here. Y'all are welcome to look through. I don't think I'll read all that. And they did give some suggestions that even any individual can do to safeguard the water system. Don't flush medications down the toilet. Whether you live in the city or septic tank or anything, you know, leave them in a bottle, throw them in the trash or something. Put them in a plastic bottle or something. But don't flush medications, because all that stuff can get into drinking water. You know, they clean the water and filter it, but all that stuff comes out. So you could be taking somebody else's meds and then wonder why everybody's sick. You know.
That's why our water tastes funny. We have too much chlorine in our water. You can taste the Clorox.
You know, I think if you take the water. My hands are all blue. Oh, my next talk is going to be about the color blue, but look at a little premonition here. What was I going to say?
We were talking about chlorine in the water.
Oh, if you let the water sit, if you get some bottles like that one, like when they get empty, I save them. Put the water in and let it sit for 24 hours. The chlorine evaporates out. Try it and see if it'll taste used to do that when we had birds. We couldn't give them tap water. We had to let it sit because the chlorine would evaporate out. And then we could, after 24 hours. Or your fish tank.
Leave
if you let
the
water-
lid on or take the lid off?
I would take it off. And maybe
Yeah.
just leave it loose or cover it with something so, so
Like a little bit of plastic.
But try it and let me know and see, because we used to do that because the birds couldn't have chlorine. And like we washed stuff and we had to put chlorine, Clorox to disinfect it. And we couldn't put the things back with the birds to drink and eat out of until it dried it. And then it was supposed to have evaporated. And that's what we understood about chlorine.
And sometimes when you go fishing up there, you can smell the chlorine in the river. Because the water tank is right up there.
Yeah.
Where they're at it, and you can smell the chlorine in the river. You can still light it in.
Yeah.
It's in the river.
Then it comes to us and we drink.
Now I did hear a long time ago, because I was a science teacher too, so I kind of look at things. That the Edisto River was the 4th cleanest river in the world.
Really?
Because maybe where it comes from and where it goes through, maybe there's no industry along or not so much agriculture. It might go through forests or something. I don't know. But I heard that and I said, oh, let's go get water from Edisto, And what do you think is the leading cause of death in the world? Of course, we know it's going to be water related, but drinking bad water, because people drink bad water and they get dysentery.
Yep.
And dysentery is the leading cause of death in the world, any age, anything.
You can also drink bad water and get H. pylori.
I mean, there's all kinds of things you can get, but the leading cause of death in the world is just from getting dysentery, because that's whatever that bacteria or whatever it is in the waters.
Because I had got H. pylori and I had to take that treatment, and they said it was taking and causing ulcers in my stomach to attach itself to my stomach wall.
Oh, that was the same thing. I had written it twice.
You can get one.
Okay, so that was like the basic stuff, just the things we hear about all the time, the ordinary things you think you're going to hear about water, that people talk about. But we're going to move into a whole other realm now. The interesting part about water. And you all might remember, if you've been at some of the other talks I've done, pretty much everything, all the presentations that I've done are related back or tied back to vibration. Everything in the universe is vibration. There's nothing really solid. Our perception is limited, so we think it's solid, but everything is vibrating. And one thing, and I might have talked about some of this before, but it's the power of words. I wrote those words on the water, so the water's listening to the music and it's reading the words on the bottle. Those words, even if they're written, because they're written on there with a blue marker, which y'all see. They're
She's
written on
turning
there
blue.
with a blue marker, but the color blue, every color has a vibration. So that vibration of that color blue is going into the water, and the water's listening to that. Listening, hearing, not in our sense, but that vibration, the water is listening to that vibration, putting it on. The vibration of good words has a positive effect on everything, on the world, on the water, whatever. But the vibration from negative words has a negative effect. And it's even like in the Bible, you've heard the saying, what you sow is what you reap. If you put out a good word, it's going to come back. If you put out a bad word, and I used to be so bad. That's things that I said, that I have really cleaned up my act, in recent years because of that. And it's made, I see a difference. And so that's like from a religious perspective, and I think other religions say the same thing. But even from the perspective of physics, Newton said for every action there's an opposite and equal reaction. If I say a word, love, and I put that out, that somehow is going to return to me. So I don't want to be putting anything bad or derogatory out. It's hard not to do that sometimes, but when I think about that back to me, it made a difference, and I was easily able to change things. The two words that are about the most powerful are love and gratitude. I say that all day long, love and gratitude. Those are two of the words I wrote on the jug over there.
Did I see Joy on the
And
judge?
Joy was on.
That was
I
good.
added a few, yeah. And what happens, what this author, this is a Japanese man, Masaru Emoto. You've heard of it. And he has some other books too, but this one, I don't know if I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but he started experimenting with water and, what's on that shelf? But when he showed certain words to the water, like love, he would take the word love, and it could be written in any language, any alphabet. And then he took and froze, he made, so the water would crystallize. There were beautiful crystals. The word love produces a crystal that almost looks like it has a little heart in the center. And he did other words, but when he showed bad words to the water, the crystals were like deformed and, misshapen, and they looked ugly, kind of thing. And I have some pictures of some here. So anything, if the water was exposed to positive, anything positive, it made a difference to being connected. And he says, for example, right here, so what are the deformities of the world? These are the deformities of the soul. And such deformities have an impact on the cosmos itself. So again, what you put out comes back. So just as a drop in a pond creates a ripple that spreads out endlessly, the deformity of even one soul spreads throughout the world, resulting in global deformities. But all is not lost. There is hope, there is salvation, and it's called love and gratitude. So, something to think about. And here's a student. What percent of the human body is water, do you know?
85?
Not that high.
75?
70, I think. About 70%. So think about your body has all this water in the cells, and somebody's sitting over there cussing, and these cells in your body are listening to that cussing, and then you get sick, you get a headache, you get a migraine, you wonder why, but this water has heard all that stuff, and those vibrations have come into you from that.
It's like whatever you say out of your mouth comes back to you 3 times over.
Yeah, and sometimes, folks say it's more, but the more I've tried to not do that, the better, I've seen the results happen, so,
You create your own reality.
And exactly, you create your own reality, but, that's part of it, that's one of the functional ways I think that we do that, we put out bad stuff, so, and as from my viewpoint as a shaman, we say harm to no one or no thing, for no reason. That's the goal. That doesn't mean it always happens, but that's the goal. And even if the person comes up, I'm going to blow your brains out. Say, well,
Go ahead.
you're supposed to say do what you have to do because it's you're coming back on you, not
If
me.
you're always negative, you always say something bad's going to happen, then you create that reality.
Exactly.
You create those bad things to happen. But if you say positive, then 9 times out of 10, the positive things do come to you
Right.
because you create your reality.
And there is, and I recently went to a meeting and there was a talk, it was basically, what part of it was what you're saying, that we're in the present right now, but our expectations create a loop, and what we expect is like like she said, is what creates that reality.
Was it Charles Schwindel that said, you can't help the 10% that happens to you, but then 99.9% on how you handle it and deal with it and your attitude will reflect on
Right.
futuristic events like, okay, I got a flat tire. Are you going to just take a deep breath and put your flare up and go take care of business, or are you going to sit there and cuss about it?
Right, because that's just going to make it
Worse.
Worse, because, you're
Yeah.
gonna, yeah, exactly.
So,
Yeah.
Okay, so something's gone bad, all right? It's gone bad. Well, you can't help that, but you go, I'm putting it in the hands of the goddess, and the goddess will make everything right, and you just let, you roll with the punches, and like the guy on, I like to watch the Alaska Bush people. You drop a tree on me, okay, I'll make firewood.
Yeah, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like I got low tire. Well, that's all right. Got my compressor in the trunk, and I got a can of fixed oil in the front seat. It's all good. Can't get mad, but that's all good.
So, what he originally came up with, this was back maybe in the 90s, it's been a while back, that words had some way to affect the water that could change it, you know, to form different kinds of crystals. And it seemed at the time, it seems kind of far-flung, you know, people, scientific people, you know, you can't talk to water, it's going to do something right. But the soul and feelings and vibration, even thoughts are vibrations, so they have an effect on the formation of the crystals. Another thing he says is that water is the mirror of the soul. And what gives water its ability to reflect what is in people's souls? Because existence is vibration. That's how it happens, which is what I started out, you know, by saying that everything relates back to that. The entire universe is vibration. Everything generates its own frequency, which is unique. And of course, we said quantum mechanics or physics says that substance, we think this is solid, or I think I'm solid, but I'm actually just a sort of concentrated energy. And there was a science fiction show, somebody came in, I volunteered with St. Paul's, and somebody came in, and another volunteer, this lady, I don't know what they were talking about, and I said, I mean, sometimes I said, who, they were trying to recognize or talk about how did somebody, and I said, I don't know how you earthlings even tell each other apart, you know? And one of them said something about, well, some people are lying. I said, what is that? I said, that's nothing. I said, that's just a tiny bit of, I said, what is, you know, what are you talking about? Because I was thinking about the science fiction show where the aliens only saw energy. They saw like an energy, so it wasn't like you saw features in a face, you know, that's too slow. I mean, our perception is, that's how we do, but I mean, it's really energy. It's like, what's going on? But, it helps me remember that.
Call them earthlings, I call them bloodless.
Okay, crack book.
So everything, from a physics standpoint, everything that's in existence is just particles of waves, or somehow, sometimes they're one, sometimes they're the other, you know, depending on your theory and what you think about Einstein or quantum mechanics or whatever. According to the Buddhist book or the writings that is called Wisdom and Heart Sutra, it says, and this is a quote from it, that which can be seen has no form, and that which cannot be seen has form. So the vibration that we don't see is there, the vibrations, the particles, the waves, whatever it is, but what we're seeing is really just a, you know, our limited perception is trying to perceive the world. Human beings vibrate at their own frequencies, and we have the sensory skills necessary to feel the vibrations of other people. What do you think that means? We have the sensory skills to pick up on people's vibrations. When somebody walks in a room sometimes, you know, you can be sitting there, somebody will walk in and all of a sudden you go,
Oh yeah.
whoa,
Way
and
too
you
frequently.
know, and you wonder, but see, you're picking up on things because you resonate or you don't resonate with that person's frequency. Or why people, you know, might fall in love. Their frequencies resonate more than, you know, than the ordinary person walking by.
Souls recognize each other by vibration.
And you
as
really,
opposed
you
to
don't realize you're doing,
parents.
yeah. You think, because everything gets up here in your head where it doesn't need to be. And most cultures, a lot of cultures say, where is your mind? Where do you think? And they say, here in the heart. Not up here. That's just like, you know, that kind of stuff. So you can pick up on a lot of things, even objects sometimes. You know, if you think about, what is it, psychometry?
Yeah.
Where somebody gives you something and you're trying to figure, you know, see something about it. it, or what's in this box, or when psychics try to help police, you know, they get objects from the person who's missing and that, but vibrations might be there, so we don't understand how all that works. So some other ways, and I didn't think about this, you know, all my life I talk to plants. You know how I say people talk to plants? And other people, you know, most people will say, you know, and I've done it since I was a child, you know, I just did it. And people say, oh, you know, you just talk to plants, you're nuts. But it's not really talking, although sometimes I do sit there and have a conversation. But it's more now that I've thought about it, and that came to my mind, that it's that, you know, and, oh, how can you get all these things to grow? You do so good. I said, well, maybe I resonate. I mean, I would tell them that now. I didn't know then. Oh, you have a green thumb. You know, but it's that resonating with, you know, if you do that and you like plants, you know where that's coming from.
Well, another thing, when you talk to the plants, your oxygen that's coming out is pure oxygen. It goes straight to the plants, not like the oxygen with all the chemicals in the air. So plants need a lot of oxygen.
Yeah. During the daytime, they produce oxygen during the daytime, but at night they use oxygen and produce carbon dioxide. But during the day they need to produce, so we can have some oxygen.
That's why I always have plants. There's a lot of
I
them.
know, that's why we're here, right? So water, I call water the master listener. Water is almost everywhere. I mean, we've got a lot of water in us, but water listens to everything going on. And then if that water gets into you, you don't know where it's coming from. And so we talked earlier about all these chemicals things. So when this man made crystals from polluted water, they were like gnarled and, you know, just all kind of horrible things. Let me just show you a few of these before we go on, so you'll see what I'm talking about. And I'll just hold it up so you can see. This is the crystal for love and gratitude.
Snowflake.
Yeah, and of course, you know, they're all going to be like hexagons because they're like snowflakes. The crystals are. So that's the one for love and gratitude that you see. And y'all can look through some more. I'm just going to look. This is thank you in different languages. I'll come back this way. I'll just show you a few, and you're welcome to look some later. So it didn't matter what language. The crystal might have been a little different, but they were still, you know, really beautiful crystals. Oops,
I
I can't
see
see
it,
it.
yeah. I love the yellow one.
And here's the one with the little heart. Did you see the heart?
Yes.
That one had the little heart. That big one. There's the one with the, like a little heart in the center.
That's cute.
You want it, don't you, Molly?
It's cute.
Okay, so if you want that one, you have to take your water, take a bottle of water, and you know what I do sometimes is I write them on my bottles, but I'll take pictures of, you can take beautiful pictures and put it around your water or set the water on it. You know, something beautiful because the water's going to absorb that. So you can write thank you on your bottle of water, and that's what you'll be drinking, crystals like that with a little heart.
So if I did like, well, blue is good, but what if I did pink and yellow?
It really didn't say too much about colors when you write it.
Yeah.
I just had a blue, you know.
Okay.
A
I
blue
was just
pen.
curious. I was thinking, you know.
And that's a good question, though. But this didn't address different colors.
Yeah.
You know, because color, as far as I think water would be concerned, now that you mention it, colors are just a certain vibration in the visible spectrum of radiation. So they're not good or bad. So I think any color you like is going to resonate with you because that's your.
Yeah.
You know,
I was
your
just
personal
thinking
thing.
because you know, red, pink, and white candles, when you're doing it for love, to attract love and send forth love, and I thought I got a bottle of water in the car. I'm gonna just write love and put a heart and.
Or
You
put,
know,
yeah,
all sorts.
sometimes I draw hearts or smiley
Cute,
faces
yeah,
or whatever
cute
thing
squiggles.
on the water. And just real quick, because there's a lot in here, and you can see them. These are crystals. Some of these are, somebody said, you fool, to a person. You fool in English. You make me sick, I'll kill you. Satan, angel. So this one at the top is the only one that was nice. All the others, you can see how misshapen and like bizarre they are. This one was angel, but all the others were bad stuff that were sent to the Lord.
Angry crystals.
Yeah, they're angry.
Angry.
Yeah.
Angry.
This was the one good one, but it's not. These are all bad stuff. So if you are mad at somebody and you say, "Oh, you fool," that is going to resonate, and that's what's going to be in your body cells, in the water of your body cells, is these ugly looking, things. If they were made into a crystal, but that's still there, just to see it, you have to freeze the water. And so there's a lot of other things in here you can, and what's interesting too, I'll play different music to my water, like I'm trying to learn Spanish, so I'll put a Spanish CD in there and play the music. And I say, that's going to help me learn it better, and man, I just learned stuff. And then they had one in here where they played tango music to the water, and the crystals came out as a double crystal, like two people dancing together, because I do tango, and so I started playing tango music in Spanish, so I'm killing two birds with one stone. But that was really kind of neat, the way the crystals almost make sense to what the things are. And there's all kind of different ones here. You can.
So like was the Ghostbusters? Was probably the second or last one they did the mood slime. Remember the pink mood slime?
Yeah.
And they played inspirational music, and then they slapped it all over the Statue of Liberty, and she's like jamming down to Manhattan.
Yeah.
I love Ghostbusters.
Yeah, I like the first one. That was the best one.
We got a new one coming out too soon.
With girls in it. Yeah.
Okay. So, I don't know if I said this already. All things vibrate, and they vibrate at their own frequencies. And when you understand this, you will significantly broaden your understanding of the universe. The natural world is well designed. Everything is in balance. And when sound is created, and I don't know that it just sound like we hear, but vibration could be visual. It's still the vibration coming in. So you have to think about it that way. There's the master listener, which is water, and the water mirrors the world around it. So the water picks up everything that's going on, and it's going to, sometimes get back to you. And I think one of the first talks I did, I read some things. It was about vibration, and I read some things from the Bible and some other things, and said in the beginning was the Word. And so I talked about the Big Bang Theory, and that was creation, was the voice, it wasn't God, whatever you call it. So here it says, in the beginning was the Word, which existed before the creation of the universe. The Word created human beings, and they learned the words from nature. Okay. And we looked at some of the crystals with the thank yous. One example of something might be the problem with words is the Tower of Babel. Remember, whatever it was at the story in the Bible, God punished them for trying to build a tower up to heaven, but everybody started talking a different language. That's we say where the languages came from, but all that
communications.
Yeah, communication caused so much problems, and so locations and environments can be different. It can be back in history or any place in the world, but the fundamental principles that govern things in nature are still the same, no matter where you are. Physics works the same way, and science works the same way. And what I wrote here, the words gratitude and love, the two that we were talking about being the salvation, come from the fundamental principles of the laws of nature and the phenomenon of life. I'm not sure exactly what that means. You might have some ideas on it. But those feelings are common to everybody. I think even animals, are grateful, and I don't think we would think of it as gratitude, but when they're not cold or they're hungry, I think they have that feeling, that sense, and it has just become more, we've intellectualized it as humans, but given it a name. Words that revile are created by culture. So the good things are created by nature. The words that eventually come that are good are from nature, because nature's balanced. But cultures and people create the bad stuff. Trees and plants even show respect in the way they grow and live. I mean, they live according to the way nature dictates it. So they show respect for each other, and they all have their place. Some grow tall, some that were mentioned in here were on resonance, how people, and there's resonance, there's layers, or if you have middle C and then high C, there's certain things will resonate and do. And then there's all kind of gradations in between. If we think about frequency being sound, that's resonance. So the way we hear sound, like a tuning fork or a human voice. You can take the tuning fork that is the note law, and then a human being can duplicate that. And when they do, they both resonate the same frequency, so they're in contact. So that resonance can result even when the frequencies are not exactly the same. For example, you can double the frequency. So 2. Okay, here's a math question. How does it double? What would the frequencies be? After 2, then what?
3.
Double.
4.
Then what?
6.
Double. 2, 4, 8.
8.
16.
You're going to get that, and you're going to be doing that pretty soon in school. So.
thought that was counting.
No, to double it, remember 2, 4, 8. So if you square, it's like squaring it each time. You know how to square numbers. 2,
She'll learn it soon.
So, for example, if there's a frequency of 440 hertz, and I didn't write down which one it was, I think it's La, maybe, you could also resonate at 220. You could cut it in half. So if we cut fractions in half, the first one would be 1/2, and then 1/4, 1/8, and so the bottom number has to double in a fraction.
And then 1/16.
But those frequencies, and I threw in some math, but those frequencies would resonate. And it can go to infinity. You can keep cutting it in half forever, and you can keep doubling it forever. So, and then objects in nature pretty much emit stable frequencies. So, there's some more pictures in here. That's basically what I had, and you're welcome to look at some more of the crystals. But what I did up there, this was my experiment. So I have the jug of water, and I've been playing some meditation music to it. And if you want, we'll open the water, and y'all are welcome to drink some. But the experiment is, if you go home tonight and you drink the meditation, the water that's listened to the meditation music, and you go home tonight and you say, man, I really fell asleep fast, I was really relaxed, or I slept all night, something different, then next time let me know if the water had any effect, because I was having, I don't get migraine headaches, but I get the aura thing, and every once in a while, and back in January, I started having that, but I get this real, very low-key, dull, something's hurting, and it'll do it for all day. Then it'll stop for a day or two, then it'll come, and it went on and on for about 4 or 5 weeks. It was just, annoying, not bad enough to, be totally bad, but just, oh man, this is going on. So I took a jug of water, and I played some Mozart music to it. And the next time I started getting that aura thing, so I knew that the headache was coming. I immediately ran and got some water and drank it that had played the Mozart music. The aura stopped in midstream. It just totally stopped. It has never happened before. And the headache has been gone ever since. I haven't gotten one back. Now, I've gotten the aura a couple times because I think my eyes, I just do that. And fortunately, I don't get the headaches. But that just freaked me out. So I don't know what music does what, but I know Mozart music, play it to the water if you get headaches, because it worked. So we'll see what happens with the meditation music. We have some cups over there, so y'all are welcome to have us. So,
Cool. I'll try smooth water. I'll be your guinea pig.
Y'all are welcome to try.
I'll be your guinea pig. I could use a good mood. I'm actually in a pretty good mood, but I could be in a better mood. Ooh, look at those pretty cups.
Yeah.